right, you ready? You ready? I'm good. I'm live. Good. I'm live. Live. Ladies and gentlemen, you will never, ever, ever again see a Newsbeat show that has a 2 in front of it until we reach our 2000th episode. That should be 1700 episodes later. The hardest thing that I have learned after 20 years as an active intraday trader. We have a special for you today. Apple's bear flag. Rising wedge is at an ominous sign, is an incoming break of 185 ahead, resilient trading and bouncing back. Increasing size when you need to, not when you're desperate. Increasing size is essential for success. We're going to show you that. We're going to show you news flow coming back slowly but surely. Also, can we really test the December lows? Also, one of the most important thing for you as a trader, if you have not done this yet, is actually to be comfortable evolving. You'd be surprised how important this is for you. Our precise daily stock levels, our game plan in Forex, as well as our full stock analysis. I am Mark Melnick. This is the Newsbeat Show. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Newsbeat Show. So we have something just so special for you guys today. I'm going to not only teach you the biggest lesson I've ever learned as a trader, and as well as go through, so many other things and more. We have a special episode here tonight. We're going to go over all these things and more. I'm also going to show you what you are probably doing wrong as a trader, regardless. And it's going to be key and it's going to hit home with you. And it's might be, hopefully, I always try to outdo myself. So this might be one of the more valuable educational episodes that we will be offering you for free. And if you wish to buy something, we have something of that for you too. But more importantly, we're going to go through some amazing stuff. But real quickly, by watching this video, you hold me, Mark Melnick, and T3 Live, not responsible for anything that you may see, hear, read, think, see, dream on this video. If you do not agree to that, kindly exit this video immediately. Thank you so much for agreeing to that. So, I'm so honored and humbled to actually be here on the Newsbeat show. 300 episodes. It just, I could tell you how it all started, and I could give you a brief rundown. And it's going to go into the hardest thing I have ever learned as a trader after 20 years. I started trading back in 99, late June 99, and I was getting my accounts open, at that time, and I was 19 years old, so I started early. I was still in college. I ended up trading, dropped out because that's the only thing I ever wanted to do with my life after seeing it. It's like a video game with numbers, and that really hit home because, I was going to be a pro gamer and I was going to play video games for the rest of my life. Probably why you see a little arcade machine there in the back. Anyway, um, point being, I've seen so many aspects of the market. I feel like the past, 20 years of trading has shown new aspects to the market that were just well beyond what they were for the prior 100 years. Everything from buying orders on SOS, SelectNet, making phone calls to the exchange, telling, filing backing away calls against, Charles Schwab was definitely somebody who got victimized there. You remember the market maker mash into super montage, decimalization. I mean, we've seen it all. I mean, we have really seen it all in terms of trading to get to where we are today. And I wanted to share with you the hardest thing that I actually learned throughout these 20 years as a trader. And it's something that I would say is by far the hardest thing to learn. Most traders have not learned it yet. And correct me if I'm wrong. And I know I'm right, but correct me if I'm wrong with you. I guarantee you, for every one of you out there who figured it out, there might be 10,000 traders who haven't. It's really just obnoxious. So, what is that? The hardest thing I ever learned was how to rate conviction by far. And let me go into it like that. For example, today might have been a very difficult day for some of you traders out there. A lot of you traders out there might have had a really tough day. But how valuable would it be for you if somebody came to you and just simply said, well, today's going to be a low conviction day. It's going to pass soon. Just remain patient and try to sit on your hands. How valuable of that would have it been for you today? And it's actually part of the service that I feel is one of the most valuable parts of what I offer the room is basically something like this. And yeah, we have been, I have been talking like that recently. Good morning, bandits. Another day to take it slow. It will pass soon. One conviction names on my 1 to 10 scale, and I mentioned my conviction names on my 1 to 10 scale. But it was definitely a day to sit on your hands. And if you were with us this morning, I pointed it out more. And then it's kind of funny because then even a day like like yesterday, so 2 days in a row, I'm telling you guys to take it easy. I mean, how many of you are having a rough 2 days? How many of you guys out there are having a rough 2 days? So I'm basically saying that it's all ones on my 1 to 10 scale, and um, that's really, showing you a form of conviction. And then I'll come in on a day like March 25th, and all of a sudden, I give you two options. I'm like, keep it simple today. Tesla makes you uncomfortable, but all of a sudden you see threes and two and a halves and threes. And you might be sitting there thinking, well, on a 1 to 10 scale, if one's the lowest and 10's the highest, what does your 3 mean or 2? You have to realize I developed the strictest system ever. The reason why I'm not going out and throwing out a bunch of 8s, 9s, and 10s, even though you might look back at some of the trades we play and say, wow, that could have been, something huge. You have to understand from my perspective, you should be looking at reasons why you don't like it. It's very easy to like a trade. You see your candlestick setup, you get excited. You took a course that focused in a lot on candlesticks, and it's a very important part of trading, without a doubt. But you don't know what makes it different. What makes that bull flag different than that bull flag when they have the same exact shape? Well, maybe there's a moving average above, maybe it's a sector, maybe there's news flow that's negative somewhere else that could be dragging it down. I mean, you have to take these things into consideration. Where does the stock come from? I mean, there's an infinite number of questions that you can actually sit there and ask. And if you actually did trade that Tesla on the 25th, you actually crushed it. I mean, you actually crushed it because Tesla, pretty much vomited lower. That's a nice word, right? Vomited lower the day we shorted it, and we went right ahead. We shorted it right in the morning. The stock went from 260 down to 254.46. I'm not saying we shorted at the top. We did a one and done, but I mean, a quick 5.5 point drop. I caught probably what, two of those points, and that was it. Maybe three. I don't even remember. It was Monday. Don't even remember what I ate for breakfast this morning. I think it was coffee. But you have to realize, so what does that mean? So what I did was I actually rated my one and done strategies on conviction levels 3 and up. And if you've watched the recent video that we did, and I'm going to show you also how I played and how I throw money at it, so stay tuned. I gave you the latest version of the actual one and done, where it basically says I mean, there's a whole video on this, but basically since January 1st, 2019, if you took any Newsbeat name that had a 4 out of 10 conviction or higher and applied the one and done the way I apply it, you could have made money 100% of the time. I made money 100% of the time on them. Many traders in the room made money 100% of the time on the 4 out of 10 or better names. And it's also 92% of effective on names that are rated 3 out of 10. Where it gets really dicey for me is when it's a 2 or 1. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean when I'm giving, oh, that's a 1 and that's a 2 and that's a 3? It sounds like the perverted drunk guys at the bar watching women go by, right? But what does that actually mean? What does that mean when that's a 1, that's a 2, that's a 3? There is actually a science behind it, and it determines my risk. So you weren't here this morning if you're watching and you're not a member of the room, but what I was saying on Lulu was take it real slow. It's a market order, tear down, go near the lower end of the range, like that. Not only that, it's clearly rated a 1 out of 10. So I've been getting a lot of emails recently. So as you know, there's Lulu, one out of all these names here, my one conviction names on a 1 to 10 scale. It's very clearly, it's spelled out. So when I have a 1 out of 10 and I'm telling you I'm leaning towards the bottom end of the range, I bought about $1,000 worth of option calls today in Lulu. About 1,000, a little more, 1,200. About $1,000 worth of options. And then when Apple exploded that day, I was near 8K. So literally, I'm 8 times heavier in an Apple, approximately, little more actually, about 8 times heavier in Apple than I am Lulu. And one of the biggest mistakes I think a lot of traders make is you don't change your tier size. Now, when I was in T3 back in 2007 and I had a little crowd of traders around me, they would ask me, what to do. And I would foolishly reply. Here's me throwing myself under the bus. I would foolishly reply, you should take the same number of shares on every single trade no matter what. And the reason why I said that, which is incorrect, this was 11 years ago. I changed a little bit since then, 11 and a half years ago. What changed with me from back then till today when I was on T3 when we were in the William Street office? What changed with me was the fact that I didn't know how to judge conviction. So I said, since you don't know which one of your trades are higher conviction than the other, approach each with the same amount. So one trade doesn't, you know, hamstring you, just cut you down where like one trade that you went heavy on the wrong trade crushes you. The truth is the majority of you went heavy on the wrong trade. So how did I do it? So I literally map out the amount of option dollars I'm taking on a trade. So today, for the first time this year, in 2 days, I'm batting less than 50% hit rate in the past 2 days. Now, throughout the year, it's 86% since January, but the last 2 days I've been batting less than 50. And I know T3 doesn't like us showing the P&L, but I'll just tell you. I'm not going to show you the numbers, okay? I went from negative 1,200 today off two losses off of Lulu and another loss off of Facebook. I lost on Lulu and then Facebook. $1,200 loss, followed by an over $5,000 gain on Delta. And Delta was Chatter. And Chatter, as you members know, or if you're new here, you're going to know real quickly, tends to be higher conviction size. So Delta had Chatter here today saying that Warren Buffett was going to increase his stake. We were buying right around here, right around the 50 and a quarter to 50.35 range, right before it exploded to 50.65. That move alone sent the options through the ceiling. Now on chatter names, when I'm buying these actual names, unless of course otherwise noted at any scenario, because I do share my position sizes, you have to understand the transparency we pull here. I'm in that range always. I'm always 6, 7, or 8. If you hear me 9, you'll know right away. You'll know right away. When you hear me heavy breathing, I can't get into it now, but if you hear me heavy breathing and I'm like, guys, I just I bought 1,000 option contracts in XYZ. I think this thing is going to explode. Like, that's a lot different, obviously. That's very rare. Hopefully, you get one of those a year, two of those a year maximum. Just keeping it real when I'm just loading the boat in something, trying to make a six-figure day. But like, this is where I am on chatter. So, do I think I traded well today? Yes, because I sized down, I took modest losses, and I didn't force higher size on trades I shouldn't. And that is one of the biggest mistakes traders are going to do So I spoke to a bunch of traders as we're doing our 300th episode here today, and they say, Mark, you know how many people in the room messaged me and were like, Mark, the greatest thing that has saved my entire trading is your conviction in the morning. I only, either people who will say, I'll only take any of your names three or higher, or I'm throwing in such little size on the ones and heavier size on the threes and fours and fives and sixes and sevens and eights when they do arise. It's rare. It is. I'll tell you. Like I'm not here trying to hit you a home run every day. I mean, that's not true. I'm trying, but you can't force it. It either comes or it doesn't, right? I mean, you can't just take any random name and say, "Yeah, you could have just loaded in the buying power here." It doesn't work like that. So the hardest thing you'll ever have to do as a trader ever is to apply conviction to your day. I will tell you today and yesterday, if you had a tough day today and yesterday, I knew it was going to be a tough day today and yesterday before the market opened. Before the market opened, I knew it was going to be a tough day. Knew it. Like 100%. And what was the first thing I said in the morning when the market gapped up? What was the first thing I said? I mean, you won't have heard it unless you're in the room, but we actually have a beautiful offer for that too. Just real quick, if you want to be part of the Newsbeat live service, we're offering our ALGO trendline course and 30 days live for just $95. That's available for everyone, members included. Just go to t3live.com/300. Okay, back to it. So on the triple Qs, like, what was the first thing I said in the morning to you guys? We could go green today, but we're going to have a massive down move intraday, a big down move, whatever massive is to you. To me, this move from 178.94 to 177.24, that's a massive move. A $1.70 drop in the triple Qs in, 45 minutes to an hour, like 50 minutes. That's a big move. And I knew it was going to come. I just didn't know when. And not only that, as we were going through lows, what did I say? We're going to bounce. And if we go through highs, we're going to drop. And then I said that right over here. Right over here. Right over here after 10 o'clock, I said that. And that's exactly what panned out. It was a very hard day because there was no direction. You started the day right here with a big red bar falling. You pop up, you drop, and then you grind up all day. So I already knew it was going to be a tough thing. And what I do is I look at the news flow of the analyst, and based on the analyst sentiment and what the analysts are saying, I could tell from 10 miles away now whether it's going to be a good or bad trading day. And not only that, the best thing I can do as a moderator is literally prep you for it. Literally prep you for it. The traders who follow this are very successful. They take modest losses, they take super large wins. I am proud of the fact that I lost $1,200 on two one out of conviction ideas. I am very proud of myself that when it came time to slam in, I did it exactly at the right moment today with Delta Airlines in front of you, and it saved a lot of your days. A lot of your days were saved today based on that call. And even though I can bat 1 for 3 in that scenario, minus the PVH trade that I lost on and then I made on the Acacia, those trades aside, just at that point of the day, um, I could look at those trades and I could say I did the right thing. I tiered down. I took modest losses. I wasn't going to get absolutely decimated. And that's hard for a lot of traders because I would say just about all of you, maybe 98, 99% of you, just about all of you, when you're down money, the next trade you do is heavier. How many of you would admit that? That when you're down money, the next trade you do increases size. You know what you did? You admit it. Go ahead. I did that for the longest time until I fixed it. And I'm going to show you how to fix it too. You're going to love me after this episode. Me, yeah, yeah, yeah. You. Yup, until the closing bell. Exactly. So you just start over trading until the closing bell because you don't want to be negative. What if I gave you a different scenario? Now, it's very easy for me to say, you shouldn't do that and you should wait for your conviction idea. That's what everybody would tell you there. But you know what? I got a better one for you. What if lunchtime revenge, exactly. What if, just hear me out. What if you decided to slam the crap out of the next three or out of four 10 play and do it for the next 10 of them? Where if you took $500, and I can't tell you how to tier size legally, I'm just talking what I would do. I would say, you know what? Show me the next three or better play on the 1 to 10 scale, and I'm just going to throw the size at that. And everything else, I'll just take one option contract, 100 shares. And if it's something I like, I'm going to, instead of slamming in 10, I'm going to slam in 30. I'm going to slam in 40. I'm going to slam in 25. The most important thing that when you're doing as a trader is to know when to tier up. The majority of traders burn out because they tier up after they take a loss. Why is that? I'll tell you why. We could go into that full psychology, but I just want to give you the solution first. Well, how about we'll work in reverse here? We'll give you the solution. It'll be like the time clock going backwards, like backwards. Let's give you the solution first so we don't do it. In the morning, I get to tier for my trades. On Lulu, as I said this morning, said as I opened up three option contracts. And I front ran it. And I still lost a little less than a couple points, about rounded up to $600, right? But I knew if I was right and Lulu decided to spike to 175, I would have made 1,500, a grand, 2 grand, depending on how fast it went. I know that would have happened. And I know I was also smart enough to give up on it right away. So, you know when you need to get your guts, so to speak? You have to get it when you see the conviction number in front of your face. Because if you knew all the emails I have, mind-blowing texts and emails saying how many traders are just so successful now because they make so much money on the higher conviction stuff and lose less money on the lower conviction stuff. If you are a trader who only tiers in after they're down a lot of money, you know what happens? You know why you never come out ahead? Let's think about this. I'll give you the answer. I already know the answer. I'll share it with you. Let's not think about it. Just listen. I'll tell you the answer. Think about it. You drop a grand, right? The next trade, you go much heavier. If you're wrong, maybe you're down 3,000 because you went heavier. Let's say if you're right and you see your P&L go back to plus 200 from negative 1,000 because you went heavy and the stock had a little move in your direction and then you could just really wipe away your losses. How many of you traders are wiping away that loss right then and there? You don't give a crap. You get to start fresh. You get to remove the red thing from your face. It's over. How many of you traders will throw out the position? You, Daniel, I respect that. Come on. You're down. You, Alex, Diego, take off half. You're funny. But you're selling for a reason because you're trying to correct an error. Think about the negative psychology behind that. You're trying to fix a mistake. You know what that's like? That's like using the eraser part of your pencil. Remember, and you're like, and then the paper looks all blotched, and you just try to write the new letter, as if people use pens and pencils anymore. Everyone's on their tablet. But like, you get the point. You get to start over. But here's my point. When you took that $1,000 loss, when you are heavy when you're wrong and light when you're right. That's right, Kevin. That's exactly the psychological thing. So what I did is I literally created a system which shows you how I am taking advantage of that psychological aspect of trading. So on the 1 out of 10s, I'm over here, but on the 4 out of 10s, 5 out of 10s, I'm over here. And not only that, you're getting the conviction on all my names in the pre-market daily. So if you're actually following me and doing exactly what I'm doing, you would be up a boatload of money because you're doing higher size on the higher conviction ideas. You know what it is? A lot of you guys, you digged yourself a hole with a shovel and you're trying to climb out with a spoon. You dig yourself a hole with a shovel and you're trying to climb out with a spoon. So in the morning, you're very afraid of losing. You're very afraid of losing. You're very afraid of losing. You'll take 10 contracts. Ooh, I love Mark's one and done. I made money. I'm making money. This is too good to be true. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. Ooh, look, I'm making money. I'm making money. Okay, now I lose the same amount of money on a 1 out of 10 play. What? Oh, and after you lost, all of a sudden it's like, huh, I was afraid to move money. All of a sudden you just rip your shirt open. You're Superman all of a sudden. Like, all right, I got this. Time to size up. Time to be a man. I know what I did wrong. I got to make this money back. I got to do it now. No, better hope I don't go down because now instead of being down a grand, I'll bet down 3, 4 grand. And then what are you doing after that? You're even going heavier on the third position. Uh-oh. Blowout risk. I did that before. How's that? I did that before. My question is, why don't you, with that being said, go heavier when you need to? Because when we have a 3 and 4 out of 10 name, when we have that, the room goes nuts. You have people who are making three, four, five, $6,000 in less than 3 minutes. Did you really need to get, beaten up on a 1 out of 10 conviction? So that was by far the biggest thing that you guys had to learn. And again, if you do want to see it in real time, this is actually available for members as well. This is not a new member promotional. This is any member. You get a recording of the algorithmic trendline class and the Newsbeat live service for a month with all that value for just $95. Go to t3live.com/300. Now, let's get into the next point. Because we're, it's an extended episode. So I have a little bit of an agenda. So that was the hardest thing I've learned after 20 years as an active intraday trader. I am telling you that if you do not know how to do that, surround yourself with people who do. I'll tell you right now, like I looked at my service back when I started in 2007, 2000, and then I was a broadcaster in 08, 09, 10, 11 at T3, and I'll tell you, like just looking at it there at T3, I mean, I will tell you that I wouldn't sign up for my service if I was broadcasting like that back yet. Then I would look at my service and I would say, no way. Yet it worked and it was successful. Today, I create a service that I would pay a multitude for. And that is the key. So if you don't know conviction, it is the most important part about trading that you're probably ignoring. You're tearing up at the wrong time. In the morning, us bandits, we tear up right away. You already know my size. Maybe I'll repeat that to you guys. Maybe you'll say, all right, guys, I have a 4 out of 10 here. I'm probably going to take between, $5,000 and $8,000 worth of calls. I think maybe if I verbalize that, you'll be like, oh, okay. I think it will click well. Apple's bear flag, rising wedge, anonymous sign, incoming break of 185 ahead. Okay, this is a very interesting question here. So Apple is, it looks like you have a rising wedge forming right now on Apple. I mean, technically, you shouldn't use the last days when drawing trend lines. That's part of my algorithmic rules of trading. But pretty much, I mean, that aside, even these trend lines, even if you want to say these trend lines, you won't know if they're correct for one more day. Just trying to look ahead here. I mean, you got this bearish volume here and then the digestive pattern up. You put in 2 inside candles in a row for Apple. I cannot remember the last time we put 2 inside candles in a row where you had the big drop on the 26. You couldn't break up or down. You couldn't break up or down. Apple, you have to watch this name tomorrow. News or whatever, you have to watch this name. I mean, I'm looking for 2 inside candles in Apple, and I just don't see it. I just don't see the last time Apple put in two inside candles, and I don't know why other technicians are not going nuts at that fact. Because I mean, it definitely happened before. I just don't know where it is. You've never put in a candlestick in Apple where you're not putting in candlesticks in Apple where for the two next days you don't break that day's high and low and then that day's high and low. The last time it happened, I found it was right. Oh, nope. The high here was 210.74. Nope. Anyways, it doesn't happen often. And it's happening for the first time in a very long time. So, what does that mean in English? I see that Apple's probably up after hours now to 189.29. It's actually showing up 57 cents. So keep that in mind as I'm saying this right now. I would say this, whether or not, I mean, Apple is setting up, in my opinion, for a short. Now, maybe we break out and the market keeps going up, and Apple goes straight to $200 from here. And maybe Apple is miraculous like that. And maybe you feel like that is a logical thing to happen. And maybe it does. I mean, we're in the most algorithmic, unprecedented rally ever in stock market history. Nobody could really use the past to, determine effectively. But just candlestick wise here, you're bullish above, the 8 and 21 moving average. You're bearish below the 200. But I will tell you right now that Apple is in deep trouble. This stock is in major, major trouble. And basically tomorrow, you have to watch today's high and low tomorrow. If you want to be long Apple and you're below today's high of 189.56, you are in deep trouble. If the market goes red and volume comes in, Apple should go right down to the 21 moving average. It should be a little in the 183.80s or 90s tomorrow. So I guess what I'm insinuating is there's a good chance that Apple could, if the market goes down tomorrow and whatever happens after hours, and we get a flush in the market. I mean, Apple could drop 4 or 5 points, whether it's tomorrow or Monday. I will be watching this in the room, you know, and I will be calling this live. And again, if you want to try the room, it's t3live.com/300 for just $95. It's available to everyone, members included. All right, let's go on to the next thing. Resilient trading and bouncing back. I think this was really interesting email. And Dennis is asking, after bad trading days like the last two, he's referring to today and yesterday, how do you keep your calm, especially around the kids and wife? And this is such an excellent question because the unfortunate part is a lot of traders, myself as a very included in there, can get very, snappy or angry with the wife and kids. You don't want to deal with anyone else's BS after you have a bad day. I know the feeling, which is why, in order to live a happy life as a trader, you must put psychology as number one. My strategies are based around preserving psychology, not capital. For me, you need more of a psychological stop than a physical trading stop when you're placing a trade. Once your psychology is fixed, you're golden. You're golden. Once your psychology is fixed, you'll make money more easily. You'll be happier. You'll be nicer to the people you love. Take it from somebody who had to learn it the hard way. The truth is, keep working on winning trades because I'm sure you're an absolute sweetheart of a human being, Dennis, when you're around your wife and kids, when you're up money, and then when you're down money, you try to be nice, but you also don't want to deal with anyone's BS, and that is the majority of traders, male or female. So, increasing size when you need to, not when you're desperate. Increasing size is essential for success. So, just as I was telling you, when you get a higher conviction idea, you have to size up accordingly. If you are not doing that, you are likely not a successful trader. You are likely not. It's also about tearing down. The problem is some traders are always tiered down, which is fine up until a certain point where you have to say, all right, I'm good at this. Now I have to tear up. Are you good at trading Newsbeat Live 3 and 4 names? Hundreds hundreds of you who are. You should be the ones taking more size. Is just, again, I can't legally tell you to buy or sell any security, but that's what I would do. I would take something I'm good at and increase the size as opposed to going through a losing day, having the negative psychology, and then buying 5 times heavier than I want to. So, because conviction is the hardest thing to find, follow somebody who does use news and conviction because you'll be sizing up more often than not when you need to, as opposed to when you feel like you have to or are in a mode of desperation. News flow coming back slowly but surely. So, like again, Delta Airlines here, as we said, there was Warren Buffett chatter today, and then he actually came on CNBC and confirmed the chatter, which was kind of crazy. So the stock, spiked up here. I mean, most people don't realize, but like a 50-cent pop in Delta Airlines can make your day. It's a $35 billion company or whatever it is, but like a $50 stock, that can make your day. And it was a very quick trade. And just to, again, show you an example, because we do share our layout here with members, with a disclaimer on it. Um, T3. Um, T3 always tells me to exercise with caution when doing this because it's a bad risk reward. They are absolutely right. But I am blessed to be in a firm that tries to physically do good for others and tries to really help people get to that level. So I need to let you know what Delta Airlines look like. So I'm going to take you through this chatter play in real time because it's a bit exhilarating and it's how I um, was able to maintain today, and I think it's very important to look at. So hold on, just logging into my live system right now. Okay, all right, all right, all right, beautiful. Turn you off. Okay, so okay, so let's just go ahead and let me just drag this down. Hold on, I just want to I'm going to drag my layout down just to show you guys what it felt like and what it was actually like to be part of a chatter play like this. So just have like Amazon, like here's my layout, and basically it's very simple. I mean, it goes higher than this. I don't really care to share my account number and account information and across the planet right now. But so here's Charles Schwab. And basically, I've preset contract limits, 100, but you can obviously preset them lower. 100 contracts, like 10,000 shares, and then I have the share size set for 1,000 as default, but you could obviously change the number. But look, so this is what happened. So this is how it actually looked like. There's Delta chatter today, hearing that Warren Buffett might be increasing his stake in the stock. It started out as a rumor. We didn't know that Warren Buffett was going to go on CNBC later and actually say that it was true. But it starts out as a rumor. How, who knew, who taught, who knows? Who cares? I don't. So um, what happens is, Delta right here spikes up. And what I do here is when I say there's Delta chatter and it's over here, this is what I'm doing. I'm literally showing you action for action. My hand's on the mouse, right? Left click, D, A, L, enter, and I left click and I buy. And that's how it looks like. That's it. I'm in. So if you told me, if I said there was Goldman Sachs chatter and I had to buy Goldman Sachs right now, right? Let's say I'm really trading. Look how fast it actually looks like. You ready? Set. Goldman Sachs chatter. I'm in. I bought 100 of the 192.5 calls at around 59 cents. with price improvement and everything that Schwab offers. Right away, I'm in. For most people, you can't do it that fast. That is why my layout is designed to take advantage of these situations. Let's say I want to buy Citigroup for whatever reason. See, enter. I'm in. That's it. I'm in. That's it. Buy to open. Market order, 100 contracts, 62 and a half calls expiring this week. You could change the expiration if you want to anything. So as soon as I bought into that delta and I saw the stock spike up here, and then I was basically saying, look for the stock to get above this 61-cent level. That was the final breakout call I gave while it was at day highs. And I said, watch for the 61 break. And what happened here in Delta is it went to 50.65. Those options went from, those options went up like 50% in value at their best. So when you go ahead and you buy something like that and your options go up 50% in value, it's tremendous because I mean, a lot of you guys took shares, I'm sure. Like, how many of you guys actually bought shares of Delta when you heard that this morning? But that is like literally like what the Delta trade looks like to me. When there's chatter, every second counts. Thanks, Frankie. Yeah, and that's, just we'll talk about how we could get it to you, Frankie, for members only. You care to be a member? You care to be, you care to change your life as a trader? You care to do the things that's necessary? t3live.com/300. Did I mention that this actually ends tomorrow? This is actually, like I kid you not, like it's literally 1 day, 3 hours, and whatever seconds. So it literally ends tomorrow at 12 o'clock a.m. Just so you know. Okay, let's go back here. Um, is Newsflow coming back? But surely. So yes. So obviously when we have a chatter name, there was another chatter name that came out of Deal Reporter that actually was running, and that was Synaptics. And Synaptics chatter, if any of you are wondering, why did Synaptics go from 32.87 to 37.73 in 3 days? I mean, that's a really large move for SYNA. And the options exploded. And this was another chatter name. Wish I got to be honest, I wasn't involved in this one, but hindsight is 2020, and that is news flow coming back. So the more news flow comes back, the more powerful we are. But think of it like this, even for those rooms and those traders out there who don't focus on news flow, most likely the majority of you traders out there had a really tough time this week, this past couple days. You probably had a really hard time. And I feel for you. But what I'm saying is based on something you're not even paying attention to, based on news flow on my end, I could tell you when those days are going to be good or bad ahead of time. I will tell you how many traders say they sign up for my service. They don't trade any of those names, but they know when the market's going to be good or bad. They do their own names and they size accordingly based on whether I'm excited for the market or not. So you do have traders like that as well. So yes, news flow is coming back slowly but surely. I'm very excited. Can we retest the December lows? Okay, I mean, this is a really good question. This is a really good question because everybody knows the market's going to correct off here. The question is, does it go up first and then happens? Does it go up higher and then happens? Nobody knows. That's the timing I find very, very difficult. But I will tell you this right now. Um, Last time you put in a red bar and an inside candle on the Qs was right over here. On March 5th, you put in that inside candle. Like March 5th would be today, and yesterday, March 27th, would be March 4th. So this was March 4th and 5th. Look, red candle in the Qs, doji, you fall. See that? See that? With the inside doji candle, green bar inside doji candle, you continue. Right there. But when you get that red bar right here, red bar inside doji candle, you fall. You see that? Even if you go higher, you still fall in the end. So I am telling you, I'll be right and I'll be wrong on these calls, as a rule of thumb. Here's another bear flag with an inside doji. I'm just showing you like what the Qs have done in the past. Look, red bar, inside doji, you gap down, you head lower. See that? So, same thing is happening now. Red bar, inside doji. Do I think we head lower from here? Yeah. Yes, I do. The weekly shows a big inverted hammer. That's a whole nother story. So, back to your point, can we test the December lows? It would have to be something disastrous geopolitically, or something disastrous, like act of terrorism, acts of terrorism, a war. Not to use the worst case scenarios, but you're basically asking me, Mark, what would drop the market 20% from here? That's what we're looking at. I look at the economy of the United States of America, and we just have never seen. Again, I'm 39 years old. I have never seen a stronger economy just based on the numbers in my life. I haven't. I've never seen stronger numbers. I mean, that's what happens when a market hits all-time highs, right? Like, I mean, the GDP is very high. Everything is high. Like, I've been following jobless claims since, you know, 20 years. And when the markets do this and they keep going up like that, I here's the funny thing though. I still think there is a chance that we're going to break the December lows. I just don't know if it's going to be this year or next year. That is the tough part. This year would have to be more war type stuff. I doubt we're going to fall on a failing economy. So when I'm looking at the actual numbers that these companies are presenting, it's much different than what happened in 2000. I mean, I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you. Don't take my word for it. Watch. Okay, let's just go to, Yahoo Finance, Apple. So what kind of P ratio does Apple have? What do you think? Because when I was buying Apple back in 1999 at $23.50 a share for long-term investment, when I started believing in the company, which I sold too early because it would be worth over 6 million today, but I don't want to get to that. I don't want to get to that. What kind of P ratio do you think Apple had back then? Anyone want to guess when I was buying Apple back in 99 at $23.50 before all the splits, before everything? Say a multi-million dollar position today if I held. No. P ratio was not 12. P ratio was in the hundreds of Apple back then when they were selling their Macintosh. Yeah, Apple was struggling to make money. It's a fact. This is before your iPods came out and everything. This was when Apple sold you Macs. And I said, what a perfect competitor for Microsoft, is what I said during the time. I had no idea of their product outline. But look, so today, Apple has a $15.50 P ratio, meaning that even though Apple is infinitely higher than where it was when I bought it, maybe, can we even pull it up? Let's look at the yearly of Apple. All right, so I was buying it over here. Compared to today's prices, they were higher because it went pre two. This was I bought Apple before these three splits. So my Apple shares, my 500 shares would be 1,000, 2,000, and 14,000. So I would have 14,000 Apple shares with that original 500. I don't have it anymore. So I think it's a fun thing to look at. There we go. All right. I overshot it. $2.6 million dollars for 500 shares of Apple back then, which I paid 10 around 11 and a little less than 12 grand. 2.6 million. So the point is, at the time, Apple was not as strong of a company as it is today. So even with Apple trading phenomenally higher than where I actually ended up purchasing it, still, even with that being said, Apple has that's American Tower. Apple has a better P ratio today. So I'm looking at even like how these companies are, valued. I think Netflix might be a little overvalued in my opinion. Google's fairly 20. I look like these stocks seem fairly valued. Amazon seems fairly valued. I mean, considering their prospects, as long as they keep growing like they do, Amazon seems fairly valued. Facebook, even Facebook, $21 P ratio. This is not just a random internet company. This is a company that makes serious money. They monetize extremely effectively. So, again, I'm not really looking at this economy and thinking, oh my God, this is horrible. So, let's talk about the most important thing for you now. This is going to be the most important thing for you, and I'm going to talk about being comfortable evolving. You probably, if you have been trading this market for a while, like I have, you might have noticed that making money is definitely not the same way you made money years ago. Everything changes, everything evolves. The worst traders out there refuse to evolve. There are traders out there who could always make money with like lightning quick trades, myself very included in that bunch. I am not putting those traders down. I am one of them. But I will tell you, like traders who refuse to evolve, you will eventually meet your match. You will eventually meet your match. That's it. Your number is clocked in. Use any analogical word that they use. You have to constantly be changing as a trader. For those people who are in my room for a year, more, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. People have been following me 12 years since I started broadcasting. How much have I changed in the past year, do you think? Have you noticed significant changes in what I do, my strategies, how I look at stocks? The truth is, you have to constantly do that if you want to succeed. That is the biggest untold truth about trading. I know other people have their truths where, stocks go up or go down or go sideways, and it's obviously. But I will tell you, if you are not looking at the market objectively, thinking, what can I learn here with that exact mentality, you have to change. Yeah, the one done's a good example. The high one's a good example. The high five, the fun 21, the 821 curl, the know your limit. All these strategies and whatnot, I have been applying so I can learn and take advantage of the market. Gilbert brings up a great LeBron quote. Just listening in here, something LeBron said recently resonates with this. He said something like he's comfortable being uncomfortable. Think that applies. Those words were never truer. So, like, as I'm looking at the market today, and you guys hear me laughing when I'm down $1,200, I'm like, really? The market wants to do this? Like, to me, it's intriguing. To me, it's almost exciting. It's like, really? I'm wrong? Wow, what happened here? It almost like throws you up in a positive way because like to me at this point, it's like it's shocking not to have a losing trade, but to bat sub 50. Like, yeah, granted, I made money today. I did decently, but like that was only thanks to like one play. But like if you look at it, it's like I get excited. I'm like, oh wait, what do I do here? What do I do here? It's something I could learn. I actually get excited. You want to know what excites me? And there's a Street Fighter 2 machine in the back right there. You want to know what excites me in Street Fighter 2? Even in video games, it applies to that as well. Is when I lose, because when I lose, I can actually learn something. When I could just wipe the floor with you easily, one hand blindfolded, as some of the people at T3, they actually watch me do that to other people. But like when I'm able to like do these things and whatnot, like not to sound conceited, I'm ex world champion in this game. But like when I do that and when I lose, it's like I'm so excited because it's like I learned something. And the same thing applies to trading. Like, oh my God, this I lost money on this. Is there something to learn here? I think there is. And I get excited and I love, 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 love the loss. And it sounds like a masochist, but it's true. Because making money, once you figure out what's working now in the market, is easy once you figure it out. So what we do here in the Newsbeat live room is we are constantly looking to figure it out. That is why we're not a one-trick pony. Anybody teaching you the same stuff they learned for years will blow out 90 to 95% of you. And the ones that do succeed with the program are the ones that are smart enough to know that they have to take whatever they learned in the course, apply it to what they know, and change and evolve. And those are the people who get the most out of the course. The people who follow the course A to Z and say, this is what I'm doing, fail every single time. You want to be part of a room that evolves? $95, you get my algorithmic trend lines. Now, what is the value of an algorithmic trend line? It sounds too complicated. I don't know how to code. I'm not a coder. So why does Mark throw around fancy terms like these algorithms, Mark? What are these fancy terms? Well, I want to show you what it looks like to have access to my algorithmic levels. I'll give you just an example. Like today, so yesterday, which was March 27th, on the Newsbeat show, we give you yesterday's levels. We give you tomorrow's levels today. So the one I show you tonight is going to be March 29th. So here are my levels for tomorrow because today's March 28th, right? So the March 28th was from Wednesday into Thursday. And we give you a Google support level of $1,163.46. And you might look and say, where the heck is he getting those numbers from? And then, after looking at 1163.46, you might look at Google and realize the day low is 1163.43, and it was 3 cents off. And you might be sitting there saying, how is it possible to know the dead low of Google yesterday and the dead low of Google today? How is that even possible? Algorithmic trend lines. Knowing where to connect the tops and bottoms of these candlesticks is one of my life's work. I estimate over 60,000 hours developing this strategy, and it's the only form of technical analysis that will ever get you this close to really calling a true bottom of a stock. I've seen all the methodologies out there. I'm not saying other things don't. I know anything can do it. You could look at a Bollinger Band and it could hit the bottom end of the Bollinger Band perfectly and then bounce. And you could look at a Fibonacci and hit the 51.7% retracement level within 5 cents and then it bounced. And I get that. But no methodology is as often accurate as this. This is literally giving you a level 3 cents off of Google. It is, how valuable would it be for you to buy Google at dead lows today? How valuable is that for you? And it's not only Google. We give you, other names as well. I'm just using example of Google because it's what comes in. What if you got tweeted at 11:30 a.m. today? The price alert, Google support, 1163.46 at 11:30 a.m. Timestamp, right to your phone, right to your email, set in the room, posted in the room as well. Whether you are away from your computer or not, you knew you were getting Google at that level, exactly 11:30 a.m. So I want to show you a 1 minute of what Google looked like at 11:30 a.m. Right here is 11:30 a.m. And Google dips. And if you bought Google, 4 minutes later, it went from 1163.43 to 1167.37. It literally jumped 4 points in 4 minutes. And had you held it, it went up higher, whatever. How valuable would that be for you? Would you argue that that's worth $95? Well, I think it is. And if you want to know also how I came out with that level, we have a one day offer for the algorithmic rules of trendline home study. T3live.com/$395 gets you a month in the room, access to our VTF, access to their Twitter feed, our cheat sheet, the Newsbeat live level session. After I'm done talking to you guys, I go to the room and I say, is there any stocks I could break down for you guys? You have a technical analyst in your pocket, and you also get the algorithmic rules trendline course. So definitely check it out. And with that being said, our precise daily stock levels. So be comfortable evolving. Always change with the market, please, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't, you're going to be left behind. I'm telling you, you have to change. That's why when I say when you see these training courses, and I'm like, these training courses are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. I'm like, that just doesn't work the same way it did when you wrote that. Some of these training courses being offered, out there are like 15, 20 years old. I kid you not. 10 years. I mean, these courses ran their course. See, trading is definitely something that you need continuing education with. I know some jobs require it. Like if you're a doctor, you need to continue your education always to remain updated. Science evolves, medicine evolves, stock market and trading evolves. You're either evolving or you're not evolving. Put yourself in an environment that is always evolving. Tomorrow's levels today, sure, why not? Because giving you Google within 3 cents was not enough to impress you. You were like, Mark, I need more. Well, you got it. Here are all of tomorrow's support and resistance levels. I actually do not have a time travel machine. I've been leading you guys on with that one. It's just algorithmic trend lines, which is offered with this deal included. When support hits, I have an easy time making money by buying stock or buying option calls. When resistance hits, I have an easy time shorting the stock or buying option puts. These levels don't always hit, but when they do offer an amazing opportunity. So, game plan in Forex. I'm watching RH tonight and as my game plan name, and I just want to go over this one here real quick. They're getting crushed after hours. Let's put it through the Melnick ringer and see if they really deserve to get beaten up. They announced $3 a share. That beats the 285. 670.9 million in net revenues fails from the 686 million expected. Well, I have good news for you. I'm going to ignore that. Let's just push that aside. Fiscal year 19 earnings per share of 841 to 909 versus the consensus $10.13. Boom. 2.58 to 2.63 billion versus the 2.76 billion expected. Ouch. Q1 adjusted $1.47 to $1.58 versus $1.80 expected. 583 to 588 million versus 609 million expected. Not only that, the CEO, he was a little bit mad, bro. He came out and said, "We're going to no longer report comps going forward. We don't really look at comps here. We're going to continue to manage the business and the bias for earnings versus revenue growth. We're going to pivot the company back to growth this year." Yeah, easy for the CEO to say that when he sees his company, plummet after hours. I'm sure that's exactly the way he feels. RH right now down a little over 18 points. And look, here's an algorithmic trend line I have right here, this yellow line. It even hit it after hours and bounced perfectly. You see that? So on RH, I have an algorithmic trend line right over here. Check that out. It actually hit. So like, look, let me just show you, right? So I have an algorithmic trend line here that I drew. I drew one trend line right here. You see? I didn't even notice this till now. This algorithmic trend line comes in at 107.22. That's algorithmic support based on my one trend line and no other thing. So what happens when the stock after hours hits 107.22? Look at this. Yeah, I'll move it over here. Look at this. Comes down to 109.05. Breaks 107.22. Breaks it by 62 cents. Hits 106.60 and bounces to 119. You're telling me that that was a coincidence? That is how you nailed the bottom of a stock. And yes, If I was still after hours trading, that would be the easiest read for me in the world. These algorithmic levels are the future of trading because the majority of trading goes on by robots. The majority of trading out there is not done by humans, it is done by robots and computers. And if you understand these trend lines and how these robots and computers follow, live, and abide by these trend lines, you will understand its importance. Were you impressed if you could have called the after hours of RH? Would have you been impressed to call Google $1,000 plus stock within 3 cents off the day low? Well, I can show you how for $95, and you will get a month of the Newsbeat live room. Go to t3live.com/300. Please keep in mind this offer is ending in 1 day, 3 hours, 16 minutes, and a number of seconds. So, on RH, what I would watch right here is for, I'd look for a breakdown here of, where is that level? Right over here. Yeah, look for a break of 112.26 tomorrow. Could start pulling you down to 109, and then you could get a move to 107. So I'll be watching that. That's going to be my game plan for today. And I just wanted to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so much for loving and supporting, T3 Live's hottest show. I mean, here we are, and 300 episodes later. I originally did this show to try to just help the community for free. And when the Newsbeat show started, it wasn't even called the Newsbeat show. It was just me coming on and trying to help people. And you guys absolutely loved what we were doing here, and I decided to push forward and create a show for you guys and try to share my levels with you guys and just really try to bring as much value as humanly possible to you through, T3's, platform. Using T3's platform, T3 gives, their contributors a very workable, usable, easy to use platform to put your ideas out there. So, it's up to us to really showcase to you what we can do here. And it's been really my honor and privilege to serve you through this Newsbeat show. I have over 200 hours clocked in, and that's with the evolutionary gatherings and whatever of just, pure content for you guys. And, so again, I am just so humbled and honored that, I had this opportunity to give you 300 great Newsbeat shows. I would raise my cup with smoothie, mango, pineapple, and raspberries. I'll raise a cup to you to 300 more episodes of the Newsbeat Show. I hope you guys really love this again. Link in the description if you wish to try us out, t3live.com/300. Happy trading, make money. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the Newsbeat Live trading broadcast. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you so much for being part of this.